Hello and welcome to a John Luke's Iron War Horses short episode. Please remember, if you like what I do, please subscribe, comment, share, and consider buying me a coffee at the link in the description. Let's go. In July to August of 1941, the Red Army and the Red Banner Baltic Fleet defended Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, from advancing German troops. In the vicinity of the city, there was a very developed network of narrow-gauge railways with a gauge of 750 millimeters. For effective defense, two narrow-gauge armored trains, number 1 and number 2, were built at the Tallinn Shipyard with the participation of the arsenal plant in just 15 days. Based on surviving photographic materials, it can be assumed that each of these depots consisted of an armored locomotive and two 4-axle armored platforms. The locomotives were the French UK-81 and the Kolomensky, I know I'm butchering that pronunciation, B-31 Type 63, which were captured from the Estonian Railway. A 76mm 34K naval gun was installed on at least one of the armored platforms. The gun had a standard carriage and a slightly modified shield. There were machine gun embrasures along the sides. A turret with a 37mm cannon was placed on a second armored platform. It is known for certain that one armored platform with a 76mm 34K installation was lost during the fighting. Later, these armored platforms will be restored. In subsequent photos, they can already be seen standing on the rails, as well as the overturned carriage to the left of the site. Armored Train Number 1, Lieutenant M.G. Fosteru. Here I have to apologize because the sources are Google translated from a Russian website, and thus I'm pretty sure these pronunciations are going to be horrible. And I doubt that the translations are particularly accurate, so please forgive me. Let's retry that. Armored Train Number 1, Lieutenant M.G. Fostirouopoulo, and Armored Train Number 2, Senior Lieutenant F.A. Tursky, were assigned to the 10th Infantry Division. They operated on the line Liva-Rapla-Ülemiste, phosphorus plant near the village of Krodi. Armored trains carried out raids behind enemy lines and landed troops. It's worth noting here that when they're referring to carrying out raids, I think what they usually refer to is getting dangerously close to the enemy lines and shelling them with the train's guns and dropping off troops before retreating. I think that's what they usually mean when they're referring to raids by armored trains. And now, for some breaking historical news. An additional note here is, this is quoting from a memoir. And the problem with memoirs is they're generally considered to be the least reliable written sources you can find, because they're written from very personal and therefore often very suspect or biased perspectives. And before people start screaming, it's because it's Russian or Soviet, no, this is true of everybody that writes memoirs, because memoirs are written to sell books, to paper up mistakes, to make yourself look good, but they're rarely written with the kind of open, honest candor that you can just believe without, checking it 3 ways from other sources, basically. And I know this because I watch Tick. And Tick is an awesome history channel. If you want to know an example of what a real hardcore professional historian who doesn't overlook anything does, look at what Tick does and how many freaking episodes his channel has about just Stalingrad alone. It's insane. It's like 50 plus episodes, each of which are like an hour long. On one battle. So yeah. From the memoirs of P. Rublik from the 31st Separate Rifle Battalion of the Red Banner Baltic Fleet. The armored train which bore the proud name Baltiets worked tirelessly on this day, August 27. At certain intervals, it left Tallinn Vake station along a narrow gauge railway towards the enemy. It made daring raids, approaching very close to their concentrations of enemy manpower and equipment. On this day, the armored train's maneuver paths were greatly reduced. The enemy came very close to the southwestern part of the city. Every time our favorite armored train returned after its next voyage, we saw the excited faces of the artillery, sailors, and they smiled with something distant and romantic, like from films about the Civil War. I especially vividly remember the face of the armored train commander with his lush black beard and cheerful white-toothed smile driving past our trenches, demanding with a drawn-out whistle to open the barrier. Heavy ones, logs lying on the rails. Captain Blackbeard, as the soldiers called him, shouted to the whistle and hissed of the locomotive, "Hold on, guys!" And the guys held on. This account, I have absolutely no way of verifying it. Once again, everything on here came from one Russian site, written by one guy, including the photos. So, yeah, if anybody who's listening to this knows anything about this, please let me know. When Tallinn was abandoned by Soviet troops, both armored trains were disabled and abandoned by the teams at the station Tallinn Sadam, Tallinn Port. According to another version, there was only one depot in the port. The second unit went to reconnaissance toward the station of Mainiku, where it was bombed and derailed. The locomotives captured by the Germans were immediately disarmed in 1941 and transferred to the owner of the Estonian railways. If the Germans used the armored cars, it was certainly not in Estonia. Most likely the carriages were scrapped as they quickly disappeared from Estonia. And that's it. That's it. That's all I've got on this on these two particular armored trains, aside from the photos you see here. So, if anybody in the audience is from Estonia, or knows people who may have been in the area at the time, or has family who fought in the area at the time, whatever, I would love to hear from you in the comments sections.